Hi, welcome to my channel if you're new, welcome back if you're a subscriber. Today I have my May TBR, which is very exciting. I can't wait to tell you about all the things that are going on this month. I have a readathon that I'm participating in that's going to be a blast. I'm actually wearing the merch for it. It's called Escape the Readathon. I love this t-shirt. I love all the merch. It's adorable, so I'll get into that in the video. I'm also going to be sharing my Lights Out book club pick for this month and just some other fun books that I'm really looking forward to reading. So before we get into the video, I do want to share that I actually started a Patreon and I'm really excited about this. I have a video explaining all the benefits of it if you decide to sign up and support my channel in that way. So I will put a link to the video in the description as well as the link to my Patreon in the description if that's something you're interested in. So for the second tier in my Patreon, those people get to vote on what the book club picks for the Lights Out book club will be from this month on. So they voted for this month's pick, and this month they chose Piñata by Leopoldo Gout. And this one looks really scary. It's described as Hereditary meets A Head Full of Ghosts. And I don't know about you, but Hereditary is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love that movie so much. It's so well done, and A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay is an excellent book as well, which actually really scared me. So I hope it lives up to this comparison. And my co-host for this month will be Amy from Amy Noel Reads here on YouTube, and I'm very excited to have her on as a co-host. She has her own book club called the Dark Hearts Book Club, and I would highly recommend you checking out her channels. So I'll link all of her information in the description box. So I'm going to read the synopsis of Piñata so you all know what it's about. It says, Carmen Sanchez is back in her home country of Mexico, overseeing the renovation of an ancient cathedral into a boutique hotel. Her teen daughters, Isel and Luna, are with her for the summer and left to fill their afternoons unsupervised in a foreign city. The locals treat the Sanchez women like outsiders, while Carmen's contractors openly defy and sabotage her work. After a disastrous accident at the construction site nearly injures Luna, Carmen's had enough. They're leaving. Back in New York, Luna begins acting strange, and only Isel notices the chilling changes happening to her younger sister. But it might be too late for the Sanchez family to escape what's been awakened. So possession stories can be so scary and disturbing to me, so I hope this one really scares me. And I'm really looking forward to reading this one with all of you. So like I mentioned earlier, I will be participating in Escape the Readathon, which is the merch I'm wearing right now, and it's taking place all of May, and it was created by Lexie from Books with Lexie. And this readathon is so creative and exciting and has so many really amazing creators involved in it. So I will link in the description box all of the information, all the creators who are involved, as well as Lexie's announcement video, the Discord, and all of that. So make sure to check out everything in that to learn all the details, all the rules, and all of that. But basically this readathon is a competitive team-based readathon. There's 4 different teams, and the goal of it is to try to escape the haunted house. And only one team escapes, so it's a race to try to have your team be the one that escapes. So you're given prompts throughout the month and you don't know them ahead of time. So the team I'm a part of is Ghost Tour, which I'm very excited about, and I mean, I may be biased, but I think it's the best team. So I would highly recommend joining the winning team. And my other co-hosts in this are Mel, Amy, and Andrew. Like I said before, I don't know the prompts yet for this readathon, so the rest of the books that I'm going to talk about are ones that I hope that I can kind of work into the prompts during the readathon. So next I want to talk about this really fun video that I have planned with my friend Erin from Erin Megan here on YouTube. And we've been friends a long time, and we've always talked about how it seems like we have really similar taste and then we have really opposite taste. We've been wanting to figure out where do our tastes match up in different genres. So we decided to choose one YA horror, one adult horror, and then one adult thriller and one YA thriller. Read them, compare our thoughts, vlog it, and see what the results will be. So I'm very excited about this. I think it's going to be so interesting to see where our thoughts fall with all these books we chose. And they're all books that we both really want to read. So I am very interested to see what's going to happen with this little experiment. So for the adult horror, we chose Cotton Candy Massacre by Christopher Robertson, and this one looks so fun. I love horror that takes place in carnivals. I love slashers, and I've heard really good things about this one. One of my favorite horror books is Cirque Berserk, and it takes place in a carnival, and it's retro, and this one looks like it takes place in the 80s, which is really cool, and fingers crossed that there's lots of creepy clowns in this one. Also, since it's at a carnival, I just know the atmosphere is going to be amazing for a slasher. For the YA horror book, we chose This Delicious Death by Kayla Cottingham, and I am so excited to read this one because I loved My Dearest, Darkest that I read last year by the same author, and I actually recommended that one to Erin, and she ended up absolutely loving it as well. So we're hoping that we both really enjoy this one. And this one's really interesting because it's a YA book, but it's about cannibals. And usually YA horror tries not to push too much gore, you know, they kind of hold back a little bit. So I'm very curious to see how this one is gonna go, if it's really gonna be out there for YA or if it's gonna be held back. So I absolutely can't wait to read this one. So this is about 4 best friends who go to a music festival, kind of like Coachella, and they're living in this world where they're called ghouls, and basically certain people in society aren't able to eat normal food and actually have to consume human flesh. But because of science and all the advancements, there's this kind of bioengineered human flesh, so it's not really human flesh, but it replicates it. And so they're living off of this, but then at the festival, one of the friends goes feral and eats someone. The next book we are gonna read is The Butcher by Jennifer Hillier, and I am really excited to read this one. It looks like it's a serial killer book, and you get the POV from the serial killer, which sounds like it could be really intense, really exciting. And I read Wonderland by this author. That's my only other book I read by her, and I was a little disappointed in that one, but I think it's kind of one of her works that doesn't have as high of ratings, so I'm really hoping I like this one way more. The reason why I was disappointed by Wonderland was I was wanting it to be more horror, but it ended up just being more detective, and it takes place in a carnival, so I wanted more like creepy clown energy in it, because in the synopsis it talks about how there's like a clown museum and you just don't get very much of that. But fingers crossed that this one will go better for me, because I've heard great things about like Jar of Hearts. That specifically comes to mind when I think of this author, and I think really good things about this one too. So this book is about the Beacon Hill Butcher, and this was the name of the serial killer who was killed 30 years ago by a police officer. And actually now this police officer's son is inheriting the police officer's house, and he's moving in, and as he's kind of renovating and, you know, just getting used to the new house, he finds this crate and he looks in it and learns some disturbing family secrets. His girlfriend also is convinced that her mom was actually murdered by the butcher, even though he had supposedly been killed 2 years prior to that. So this premise sounds really interesting, and I can't wait to read it. And like I said before, I'm really excited for that serial killer's POV. It'll be interesting because usually in thrillers you don't really know who the villain is, but it's revealed right away in this book, and you even get a villain POV. And then the only book that I own physically is the YA thriller option we chose, and it's called Nothing More to Tell. And this one is by Karen McManus, and that is the author of One of Us is Lying, which I know is a really popular YA book. That's a thriller. I have actually never read it, but I'm interested in that one too. But this one caught my eye because I love dark academia, I love academic settings in books, and I just really like this cover. So this one says, 4 years ago, Bryn left St. Ambrose School following the shocking murder of her favorite teacher. A story that made headlines after the teacher's body was found by 3 St. Ambrose students in the woods behind their school. The case was never solved. Now that Bryn is moving home and starting her dream internship at a true crime show, she's determined to find out what really happened. So I hope that there's a true crime podcast element in this one. I really like podcasts in books. Maybe I'll have to even check this out on audiobook, and I'm really excited to read this one. All right, so moving on to the rest of the books I want to read this month. The first one, of course, is by Taylor Adams, who is the author of No Exit, which is one of my all-time favorite books. It is so good and so tense. I don't think I've ever been as on the edge of my seat during a whole entire book than when I was reading that book. It's incredible. But the book that he just wrote is called The Last Word, and I've been careful not to look too much into this book. All I know is just the top of the synopsis. It says, after posting a negative book review, a woman living in a remote location begins to wonder if the author is a little touchy or very, very dangerous. So this, I feel like, is sort of a very real fear for people who review books in general. So it sounds really scary. It sounds like it has an isolated setting, and I cannot wait to get my hands on this one. I really am hoping that it's going to be the book of the month thriller pick, and if it's not, I am just going to go ahead and order it immediately. The next book I really want to read is This One's Gonna Hurt by Cody Thompson. And this was the other voting option for the Lights Out Book Club, and even though it didn't win, I really want to read this one, so I'm definitely going to be reading it this month. And this one is a slasher that takes place in the desert, and if you know me, you know I love an isolated setting. So this is about a group of friends who are traveling through the desert to go to a music festival, and they have an electric car and they end up getting stranded because it runs out of battery, and they go to this parking lot to charge the car. And turns out there is someone who wants to kill them all there. And of course, they start getting hunted down. So this sounds very intriguing. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I love the vibes on the cover, and I hope it's a new favorite slasher. I really enjoy slashers. I think they're so much fun to read, and I'm really looking forward to this one. So this book I technically already sort of started reading a little bit of, and it is How to Survive Your Murder by Danielle Valentine. And this one was actually sent to me as an ARC, I feel like a year ago. It was published in August 2022, so a long time ago, and I had been wanting to get to it for a long time, and I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna pick it up. I started reading it last night, and I'm really enjoying it. This is a teen kind of slasher, and it has a ton of references already to horror movies, which I think is super fun. I actually think I'm going to get a highlighter and highlight all the references in this book. I usually don't highlight in my books, but I kind of want to test it out. But this one says on the back, Rule 1, never go into the corn maze alone. Rule number 2, nothing good happens on Halloween. Rule number 3, never get distracted by a hot bad boy. Rule number 4, stay alive this time. So, very excited to keep reading this one. I'm really loving the writer's tone, and I hope this is a new favorite YA book. Another book that was so kindly sent to me by the publisher is Lying in the Deep. And this one is by Diana Urban, and oh my gosh, take a look at this cover. Isn't it gorgeous? I love it so much. And this one comes out on the 2nd of May, and this has a really interesting concept. So it's about this girl, and she goes on board on this ship that's basically a campus out on sea for 11 months. So they're taking classes, but they're also visiting a ton of different countries, and it's basically a cruise. So the main character is super excited about this. She thinks it'll be the perfect thing for her because her ex-best friend and her boyfriend actually just started getting together, and she wants her space from them. She's super pissed, so she decides, let's go sign up for this. But turns out they signed up for it too, and it sounds like people are going to start getting murdered. So, very interesting concept. I feel like an isolated setting out at sea is going to be really fun, and I hope that this isn't too teenage angsty because there is kind of that relationship element in it, but we'll see. I hope I really enjoy it. Another book that's been on my radar for a while is One of the Girls by Lucy Clarke. And this one is, surprise, surprise, an isolated setting thriller. It's totally my jam. And I've never read anything from this author, but this looks so good. It's about a group of women going to a Greek island for a bachelorette party, and they all go there, but one of them is hiding a secret, and someone doesn't want them to make it out alive. Another book I really want to prioritize this month is You've Lost a Lot of Blood by LaRocca. And this was on my TBR from last month. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I really definitely want to read this one this month. It looks so good. I've heard really good things about it. And this one is kind of hard to explain. The back of it just says, each precious thing I show you in this book is a holy relic from the night we both perished. The night when I combed you from my hair and watered the moon with your blood. You've lost a lot of blood. So, Very interested in this one. I really loved another book by this author called Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke. It was one of my favorite books I read last year. So I'm very excited for this one. And then I recently read A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher for my book club, and I really loved it. I gave it 4.5 stars. So I really want to check out more by this author, and I'm not sure which book I'm going to try next, but I want to read another book by this author. So let me know in the comments what's your favorite book by the author, and maybe I'll decide to read that one first. All right, so that is my TBR for the month of May. I can't believe it's May already. Next month is June, which is definitely summer. It's my birthday month, which is exciting. And I'm gonna be moving in July, so that's exciting too. When I move, I'm gonna be able to get some bigger bookshelves, and I'm gonna get to set up bookshelves for YouTube. It's gonna be so much fun, and I have a lot of good things to look forward to for the summer. If you've gotten this far in the video, mark a ghost emoji, and I can't wait to talk to you all very soon in my next video. Bye.